Oh, hey, it's you again. Hello there. I'm Garrison, and you're not. And today, it's a fascinating digital world. And the date today is April 7th, 2016. It is Thursday. And the subject today is the Bible versus politics. Yes, I vote independent because the Republicans and the Democrats are completely insane. And what does the Bible say about politics? Well, the Bible had politics too. The people of Israel, they wanted a king, so God gave them King Saul. And then they didn't like King Saul, so God gave them King David. And then they said, oh, he's the greatest king ever. But anyways, they just want to be like every other country that at the time had a king. Before that, they had Moses as their rule, and he had to separate groups into tens and hundreds and thousands, so that each one had a head to judge over everybody. But they didn't like that. They thought they needed a leader. So who's our leader? Well, we have a president and a vice president. Some countries don't, like Australia and Canada. They have governor generals over them, and then they have a prime minister. Like, for example, the United States became independent of the King of England, the monarchy of England. So we're independent. We got a king, and we don't have a king, but we're going to have a king. They wanted to make George Washington king, but he didn't want to be king. So they decided, hey, let's make him a military leader in the dictatorship. And he didn't want to be a military leader, so we developed something based on the nations of the Native Americans, the 5 nations, and the Iroquois League, that's what they called. And based on that, we formed a republic, which had a minority representing the majority. But in Australia, it says here, the government type is federal parliamentary democracy. Head of state, Queen Elizabeth II, represented by Governor General Sir Peter Cosgrove. And the head of government is Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. That's what I think it says. Or Turnbull. Whatever. Anyways, in Australia, they have a federal parliamentary democracy, which means it has a head of state, which is Queen Elizabeth, represented by a Governor General, and then the head of government is the Prime Minister. And in Canada, they have a constitutional monarchy with federal system of parliamentary democracy, head of state, Queen Elizabeth II, represented by Governor General David Johnston, head of government, Prime Minister Stephen Harper. So in essence, Australia and Canada are actually still ruled by the Queen of England. So Australians and Canadians, a lot of them think that they're independent, that they became independent during their independence from England, but they didn't become independent. They're still dependent on the Queen of England because she's still the head of their government. Ooh, head of state, whatever. And in the United States, we were completely cut off from the King of England. We didn't agree to be part of their monarchy. See, technically, Australia and Canada are still ruled by the Queen of England, and they're still part of the British Empire. But it allows more democracy now that you could vote for whatever leader represents the Queen and whatever represents the Prime Minister, which is the Parliament, which is kind of like our Congress, which is a bunch of old geezers who have most of the power anyways. But anyways, the Queen of England is now mostly a figurehead, and now they're making her pay her own taxes. In the Bible, there was no taxes. The taxes was given to the temple before there was a king. They were just Moses and all the temple tax and whatever people owed went to the Moses and the priest, and they decided who was part of the army and military, whatever. And so, but when they catch Saul got military leaders and other leaders and divided all the people up, and he took some of the taxes, and they didn't like it. They said, oh, we're going to pay temple tax, and we have to pay tax to the king. That's 2 taxes! Yeah, dummy. And then that's what the king was living off of. And he had to use the taxes to build up the cities and protect the countries and everything like that. Protect themselves from the country. That's what the king does with the money. They're supposed to use it to protect the one country from any invaders and whatnot. Anyways, that's what the Bible says about it. As far as politics are concerned, the Bible says that whoever our leaders are, we're supposed to pray for them and support them and back them up as long as they don't inhibit our worshiping of God, which means freedom of religion. Now, if we don't have freedom of religion, and the state declares one religion is number one over others, then that would be the state telling you who to worship and how to worship God, or whatever they decide to worship. If they decide to worship a potato and said, only the potato shall be worshipped in a certain way, then that will be a religious dictatorship or a fundamentalist state. That's not like the Bible one. In the Bible, people had the freedom of either worshiping God or just going somewhere else. They could leave, go to any country they wanted to. They didn't have to stay in Israel. We have the same option here, but other countries, they have official religion. So a lot of countries have Catholicism as the state religion, and some countries have Islam as the state religion. And in those countries, they look down upon anybody who has a different religion. Especially in Islam, if you try to convert from Islam to another country, to another religion, you try to convert from Islam to another religion, you get executed, or ousted, or sent somewhere else, or put in jail. But recently, they've allowed some people to actually convert from Islam to Christianity, especially in Indonesia. But in other countries, it's taking time for them to do it. And plus, in Islamic countries, they give you a badge where it's like ID that tells you what religion you are. And if you're not Islamic, you get the worst jobs ever. If you're Hindu or you're Christian or you're some other religion, they'll make you work in trash or pick up, garbage and whatnot. And you don't get the best jobs because they look down upon it. They look down upon women too, because even though in their constitutions women have equal rights, they don't always get their equal rights. Like in Saudi Arabia, men and women are allowed to drive, but some people in Saudi Arabia are refusing to give the women driver's licenses because they don't want to see women driving. And the police are harassing women drivers because they keep saying, you can't drive around here. We won't let you drive. You have to have a man in the car with you, or you have to have a man drive you around, even though they have a driver's license, if they do get one, because they're supposed to get one. They're allowed to, according to their laws. See, the king of Saudi Arabia, he doesn't care. He's got a secular government. He doesn't care what religion you are. But the laws of the land around him are basically, you're Islamic, and if you're a man, you could drive. If you're a woman, no. If you're and if you're another religion, you have to cover your head. Even if you're a Christian woman, you don't believe in covering your head with the veil or whatever you want to call it, then they'll arrest you for exposing your skin or something stupid. Yeah, basically, in Islamic countries, if you're not Islamic, if you're not a Muslim, you get harassed. And in some countries, even amongst Muslims, Sunni Muslims harass Shiite Muslims, and Shiite Muslims harass Sunni Muslims because they argue about who is in charge of Islam and who inherited the rights to preach Islam, from Muhammad or whatever. You got to look this up. Shiite, and so I was studying it, and I was like, what? I didn't even know there's a difference. Anyways, they're all like crazy anyways, but they're not all crazy. It's just when they implement their religion and try to force it on everybody else, that's when it gets crazy. In our Constitution, we can worship anything you want to, God, or you worship a rock or a potato or nothing at all. It's guaranteed under the Constitution. As long as your religion or your beliefs or your non-beliefs does not interfere with the government, and the government doesn't implement it upon everybody else, it's not forced upon you, and religion is stopped, and as long as they don't, as long as your religion doesn't cause anarchy or chaos or hurt somebody, then it's allowed. All right, that's what the Bible versus politics are. The Bible says that whatever you believe in or whatever you vote for, whoever's in charge of you has to represent the people, and if you don't like the person, then you just vote them out, or don't cause riots, don't go murdering people and stuff like that. Don't fight, don't blow yourself up or blow other people up, or act idiotic or start fighting, like the Republicans fighting the Democrats. It's just stupid. But whoever the leader is, even if you don't like the leader, you're supposed to pray for them so that they do the right thing, because God is in control no matter what happens. That's what the Bible says. All right? And according to the Constitution, we have to support whoever the president is, And if we don't like them, we just vote them out. Or, if they can get impeached still, even if they're president, they can still get thrown out, and then the vice president takes over. And if we don't like the vice president, then the Speaker of the House becomes president or whatever. Or they have a new election. It's possible, but, really rarely happens. What they should do in politics is pay the deficit off first and stop goofing around with their stupid politics, fighting who does this and what's right. Who cares? We owe so much money. Why don't we pay off the deficit? We can't even do anything. And then they get charging it up. We got a huge credit card. The United States and the Democrats and the Republicans vote. Yes, let's increase that credit card. Maybe if we give ourselves more credit, then we could make that deficit huge. So it's impossible. Right now, the deficit is $19 trillion. And not too long ago, a few years ago, it was only $9 trillion. And, before Obama came in, it was $9 trillion. And before the president before him, it was $4 billion, and it became $9 billion. Before that, it was $1 trillion, whatever. It was only in the trillions. It just became $1 trillion in under one of the Bushes, I believe. Before that, around Ron Reagan's time, it was $0. And then it became billions, and then it became trillions, and then it became, now it's $19 trillion. How in the world do you get to trillion anyways? A deficit means you owe more than you owe more than you have. You're spending more than you have. That's our credit card, $19 trillion credit card, and we're only paying interest on it, which means that the debt's still growing. We're just paying a little bit at a time, and we're not paying enough of it. And one side said they could pay the deficit off in less than in 8 years if they're president. And the other side didn't say much about how they're going to pay it off in 8 years or 4 years or whatever they think they're going to be in 8 years. If they don't help the economy within 4 years of the first term, I don't think they'll be reelected. So it doesn't matter who the president is, because they're both psychos on both sides and crazy people, and I don't understand. They're just, politics are basically insane. They've gone out of the ballpark since Lincoln was around, when it was people spoke and there was actual democracy going on. People voting and having fair elections, and if there was a contested election, then they would vote it out, and they would be peaceful, and they shake hands, and everybody's friendly, right? Then the Civil War, yeah. See what happens? Because some people just don't like it, and the Civil War was because of slavery. So if people say it wasn't, they're just stupid and they don't read history. Because the moment Lincoln became president, the southern states, they said they were going to become independent because they didn't want to get rid of their slave labor, which was free labor, and all they do is feed the slaves. They didn't have to pay them, and the moment they started having to pay them, that was too much for their economy, and they would collapse. But I'm sure Lincoln would have gave them time to release their slaves, but sure enough, he made the Emancipation Proclamation that all slaves were free, not just in the North, but in the South. And the South states thought that he was overstepping his boundaries based on the Constitution. So they declared themselves independent because they didn't want to give up their slaves. And that was the main reason for the Civil War. Okay, and that is what the difference between Bible and politics. If we follow the Bible, we would support our leaders no matter what. If we don't like them or not, we just pray for them, and God will take care of them one way or the other, and we don't have to do anything. We don't have to go, but we can still protest because we have freedom of protest. We don't have to fight people over something, because wherever there's a protester, there's always an anti-protester. So anyways, whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or something else, I still vote independent because I don't care. I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat. I don't care what, because I don't understand. Politics is not like it used to be. People share, okay, we're not going to talk about each other's past, like in personal affairs and stuff. Bring that up. No, you're supposed to talk about the issues. What are you going to do to pay off the deficit? That's the number one thing. Pay off the deficit and protect the country from other countries, not go invade the other countries. Unless that country invaded us or attacked us directly or our people directly, we shouldn't declare war against them. That's what the Constitution says. The Constitution says unless Congress, not the president, declares war against another country, you can't go in there and take over that country or destroy that country. And if we do invade a country, we're supposed to destroy it and separate it amongst the UN and have the UN decide what to do with the country or pieces of the country, not let the country exist anymore, which we didn't do in Iraq. We're supposed to, that should have been separated into Kurdistan and North and South Iraq. If we would have separated Iraq into 3 different countries, they would be able to defend themselves more because each of the different countries, one was Sunni Muslim, one would be Shiite Muslim, and another one would be whatever the Kurds are. And then, but who, in the first place, the British people, the British Empire, they separated the Ottoman Empire into Iraq and some other countries, and they're the reason why those people were together, because they thought if these people were together, they would have to have a strong leader to keep the country together, because all these tribes hate each other. The Kurds hate all the other dudes, and all the other dudes hurt the Kurds, because the Kurds aren't related to the main Iraqi people, which are Babylonians or descendants of Arabs and so forth, mixed population. And the Kurds are actually related to Europeans and people of India, Afro-Asiatic. No, not Afro-Asiatic, Indo-European. I mean. They're Indo-European people, Indo-European, and they're related to Hindu people, and the Hindi-speaking people, and Iranian-speaking people. Yeah, Kurdish is in that language family. It's in European language family. And then there's Afro-Asiatic, which is the Arabic and the Hebrew. Those languages are in Afro-Asiatic because they're North Africa and part of Asia, Middle East, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And that is Bible versus politics, which means I would rather go by the Bible than politics. I would support whoever the president is, no matter if I don't like them or not. Just pray that they do the right thing, because Congress is in charge anyways, and there's a bunch of old dudes sitting in Congress longer than the president, re-elected over and over again. Some of them have, I don't think they have any term limits. They just get elected over and over again until they die. The same with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is not elected. There's 9 people in the court. Well, right now 8, I think, because one died, and they're appointed by the president, or whatever president is there at the time. If someone decides to leave or retire or die, because they were there for life. And how can you have 9 jurors in the Supreme Court for life until they decide to leave, or they die, or someone finds something wrong with them and they impeach him? But that really happens. I don't know if that ever happened in history, but they should be elected too. We should vote for the Supreme Court, just like we vote for Congress. And Congress should have term limits. They shouldn't be in there more than 10 years. Why are they there like 20, 30 years and they're still there, and everybody thinks the president's in charge when actually it's Congress? Well, anyways, something to think about. Why do we have congressmen in charge of the government, and we think that the president's in charge, and whenever something wrong happens, it's the Congress's fault, but we blame the president. And whenever something good happens in the government, we compliment the president, but it's actually the Congress that did it. So if something bad happens, blame Congress. If something good happens, give it the compliments to the Congress. The president doesn't do anything. He could veto it. He could help it progress. He could block it, or the Congress can block him. Yeah. So whoever the new president is, it doesn't matter if he's going to do something or not, or she. Congress is going to block them or agree with them. If the president doesn't agree with Congress, then nothing's going to happen. Basically, if there's a mixture between the Democrats and the Republicans, nothing's going to happen. If it's all one party, then maybe something might happen. I don't know. Both parties have been spending a lot of money, our money, taxpayer money. And that is why we have a $19 trillion deficit. And if the deficit continues to be huge for the next president and next, whoever's in Congress, that if Congress is still the same, then nothing's going to happen. I'm Garrison, and you're not, and this has been a fascinating digital world, and I'm glad that you're in it with me. And, okay, that's the subject today, Bible versus politics. I vote independent because I don't agree with the Republicans or the Democrats. They've gone so far since they started their parties, and it's just crazy. Okay, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed, and subscribe to my other channels. Just look for channels and look for my featured channels, and you can subscribe to them. And if you want to donate to this channel, you can donate to it. Even whatever amount you can will help me get better supplies and whatnot for future episodes and future subjects and whatever I'm going to do. And same with the main channel. For the other 2 channels, you have to donate. Also, check out all my channels. If you want to subscribe to them, go ahead. And if you like this video, please like it. If you dislike it, dislike it. And if you want to, comment or give me a suggestion, just do that down below. And okay, that's about it. And this is the end of the vlog song. Last time I forgot to sing the whole thing. I just sang the intro like listen to the vlog song, and that was it. And then I went on off rambling. I'm doing right now. Remember, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Look at my other channels, featured channels. Subscribe to them. Comment, like this video, just like it. Oh, give me some suggestions about what subject you want me to talk about. If I know about it, I'll talk about it. If I don't, I'll look it up and see what it says, what I could find on it. Yeah, because I'm like a living encyclopedia or some kind of rattling on crazy man. Anyways, I've been Garrison, and I continue to be Garrison. And you're not me, and you continue not to be me. Be yourself. Bye. End of the vlog song. End of the vlog. End of the vlog. I didn't forget to sing the end of the vlog song this time. Goodbye.